She used to be an actress.
Oh, really? Did she do anything out of scene?
And I think her biggest deal was she starred in a pilot.
Pilot? What's a pilot?
Well, you know the shows on TV?
I don't watch TV.
Yeah, but you are aware that there's an invention called television, and on this invention they show shows, right?
Yeah.
Well, the way they pick TV shows is they make one show. That show's called a pilot. Then they show that one show to the people who pick shows. And on the strength of that one show, they decide if they want to make more shows. Some get chosen and become television programs. Some don't. Become nothing. She starred in one of the ones that became nothing.
Welcome to Couch Pilots. All of you are quarantined. It's the show that dares to fly into the unknown territory of awful television, pilots of the past. My name is Jason, and by my side is my holy Gale. It's Captain Philip Bressisher. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Making the best of a weird situation.
How do you think this is? You know, we're about 4 episodes into this setup that we got. You think we're still hitting our stride on this even with the phone?
As far as keeping the quality of the show up?
Yeah.
I think some would argue it's never been better.
That's okay.
Now, do you think in this quarantine situation, this post 9/11, post COVID life that we're living, would you rather be living in a house with people or be living by yourself like I am?
There are good points to both of them for sure, but ultimately, you want to be around somebody else. I don't want because at least having some other people around, you have people go, hey, maybe lay off a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
But by yourself, I don't do well by myself. I do need some type of babysitter, whether it's a wife or a friend. I do need a babysitter.
That's what I think. I think that's probably the case with you because you're a guy who got married and you're like, this didn't work out. What am I going to do? I'll get married again. And then it's like, that didn't work out. I need to get married again. So to me, it's like, yeah, you do probably you're the type of guy who needs to have that in his life.
You're the type of guy that gets suspicious. I'm the type of guy that needs 3 wives.
What's that? Is that Salt and Pepper? I love those guys.
That's the LL Cool J.
I've always been a Spinderella type myself. My mom, as we know, lives right down the street from me. And then my girlfriend bought a house 1 street away from me. So I do have like these people that I can see, but I don't have to answer to any of them. Yeah. I come back to my house. I walk around naked all the time. I don't wash myself. So I have kind of like these dirty imprints of my body everywhere. I can do whatever I want.
You like doing whatever you want, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm the kind of guy that I think about, man, I'd love to be able to do whatever I wanted to.
Yeah.
But then that just ends up being bad things. You know what I mean? Like I get away with doing a lot of bad stuff living in a house with 2 people. Can you imagine all the bad stuff I'd really get into? If I'd be one of those guys that was like paying some girl from Sweden who told me she loved me on the internet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you would be broke, living in a shotgun shack, probably 1 foot in the grave easily if that were the case.
God, those are the good times.
We were talking about last week being productive, and I got to tell you something that I've done in the realm of productivity. It's 3 words. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Power washing.
Power washing. Oh, okay. So it's a little early it's a little early to be using your hose outside, isn't it?
No. We've had some real nice days here.
But it's gonna freeze up.
No. I mean, we've had some sunny days. You do some power washing, the sun sucks it right up.
Yeah, but don't you worry about your pipes freezing?
No, I don't worry about the pipes at all. These pipes are clear. No, what I do is I take the power washer and I have a deck at the front of my house. We call it a baby deck because it sounds like baby dick, and it's fun to talk about having a small penis. And I took to the deck, and I did not realize how dirty and disgusting it was until I power washed the ever-loving shit out of it.
Now it looks like a brand new deck.
It looks fantastic. I am on board with power washing. Last week I mentioned the Reddit application on my telephone, and I'm on it, and there's all these different subreddits that you can subscribe to. I subscribe to power washing.
Give us your best power washing tip.
Okay, say you got a big job in front of you. You're like, my God, how am I ever going to power wash all this? Because unless you have one of those big ground scrubbers, you're basically working with a little wand that maybe knocks out 3 or 4 inches at a time.
Right.
You don't want to tire yourself out. This is my suggestion to all of our listener, and that is to alternate hands maybe every few minutes, and then do it in kind of like a natural swinging back and forth motion. Don't try to control it. Don't get crazy with it. It will own you. These are muscles you're not used to using, and you will get tired quickly if you don't let the wand do the work for you. So naturally sway back and forth, alternate hands, and you too can have a beautiful rejuvenated deck.
So it's kind of like a 7th grade high school slow dance.
It's not unlike exactly that. And I tell you what, I did have an adult come up to me and say that was too close during it.
Have you had any confrontations with people in regards to being too close or maybe not doing what they should be doing? Because you're a man who we are well known to hate littering, and I'm wondering if you are taking the same avenue when you see people not following social distance guidelines.
It's funny because it's on the top of my mind, and there's nothing special about me. Arguably, there's something special about you, but not me. So it must be on the top of a lot of people's minds. And when I'm out there, everyone's got the little X on the floor, or the corporate office sent out a bunch of "please stand here" or "please wait here." You know what I mean?
Right.
You see those at all the stores, and I look at them. I'm very mindful of it. And if I'm walking past someone, I'm not gonna step aside and wait. I walk right by them. I'm not breathing on them or coughing on these people, but I do keep kind of waiting for someone to say, "Hey, back off," or give me some space. But I have not come in contact with that yet. How about you?
Yeah. Yes and no. I mean, I understand at Casey's, there's a line. They taped a line up, but there's the people behind you. But in Casey's, there's not a whole bunch of places people can be. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think I'm mindful of it. My thing is like when I have been out in public. Oh, I will tell you the one thing that does bother me. I completely understand. You can wear a mask. That's fine. I don't wear one per se, so to speak.
Me neither.
But I see people that have masks on, which is great and fine. But then I see people who have rubber gloves on. And these people with rubber gloves have touched everything in the store. They've gone up to the cash register, and they're using those gloves to type and put their credit card in and type in their secret digits, And to me, I'm like, that's protecting you, but all you're doing is spreading it around the building.
Yeah, something I did notice. Like about once a week, I'm going out to like 5 or 6 different stores in one day and just doing all my shit in one day. I don't know if that's better or worse. I don't really care. I'm trying to stay in as much as possible. Hopefully I'm doing my part. But I think it was definitely at Lowe's one day and definitely at Walmart where they have people in like those, it's like a 5-gallon thing you strap to your back like you're spraying for bugs, but they're disinfecting carts.
Yes, I saw that at Costco.
So disinfecting carts is a good thing. I think every time you have someone pass through the line, you're probably getting 9 out of 10 people paying with a card versus cash. The cashier should have a little thing. Just wipe the pad down real quick. Yeah. If people are that freaked out about it, just give it a quick wipe.
Yeah, I completely agree.
The thing that I hate, too, is that I don't use gloves and I don't use masks because I'm a strong proponent of I want to eat a big handful of shit because that's the only way I'm going to build up my immune system. Yes. I'm not saying I want coronavirus. I think what I am saying is, though, that it is a matter of time before all of us come in contact with it if we haven't been already. But I hate when I see masks and rubber gloves on the ground. You mentioned littering earlier. I hate when people just are so callous to just discard that shit right on the ground.
Yeah. No, I completely understand that. And I figured that would be one thing that you would bring up for sure.
I hate that. What the fuck is wrong? Who the hell are you that you're so important that if you touch something that was infected, now you can just discard that on the ground and maybe a couple of millennia go by before that deteriorates, or more likely some poor person has to come along and pick that up and put it in a garbage can and risk their own health. Hey, fuck you, pal.
Fuck you is right.
Good Lord.
Speaking of fuck you, I do have some fan feedback. Do you want to go through that real quick?
Ooh, yes.
All right. Let's see. Make sure I don't hang up on you here.
Thank you.
All right. I got a recent one and a couple old ones.
Okay, yeah, let's knock them all out right now.
All right. This is from the season 23, episode 7, Alexander the Great.
Oh, that just came, as we're recording, just came out today.
Yeah. It says, this is from Dee Dee, and it says, in support of Captain Black, I'm cleaning the car park in the nude.
I think of that show, and people may think it was a bit. I honestly was completely nude from the time I said I was going to be for the rest of the show. I really sat here like a fat lump in my kitchen, completely naked. Because what's the other chance I'm going to have to do the show naked?
But here's the question: is why are you naked? Like, I mean, do you just like feel freer, or do you? I mean, I thought it was a bit.
No, I absolutely was naked when I did it.
Oh. Did it help?
No.
Did it help you in the show at all?
I felt like things were moving more fluidly. This is the thing. Naked is always the top of the heap, right? Hey, man, me and my family, when I was young, we went to France on vacation. They have nude beaches there. I went to the nude beach, right? What kind of strip club you want to go to? The one where they have tassels on their titties and underpants? No, you want to go to the full nude, right?
Right.
Oh, my God. I got a big fucking thing I got to say. It's a big speech in front of my class. How am I going to get through it? I got to picture everyone in the class nude. Nude is the top of the heap. All right. So if I want to do the podcast naked, what am I going to do? That fucking in front of you and in front of in your house?
Eli?
Or at the captain's lounge? Am I going to do it with guests in the room? Absolutely not. If I want to get naked on the show, being at home and doing it remotely is my only opportunity.
Hey, it makes sense. Speaking of being completely nude, this is from We Only Do a One Take Podcast. The guy is in Australia. And it says, hey, fellas, just listened to the Angora Napkin episode. Freaking fantastic. Starting to go through your back catalog over the next week or so, for sure. And in your this was on Twitter.
Yeah, this was a private message on Twitter. I saw that.
And your response is, sorry to hear that.
And then they did not respond to that.
Oh, no, they did. Well, they didn't respond to that, but then they talked about having Big E on their show. So,
yeah, this we only do a one take podcast. I don't understand. Maybe our humor more aligns with Southern Hemisphere, but they at one point, I think it was a show that was kind of making fun of the Karaoke Big E podcast like a year ago. And then like this show knew that show. I don't know, some kind of weird working between like independent podcasts got the We Only Do One Take podcast to make fun of the Karaoke Big E podcast. I remember how upset Scott was. And I was like, man, if I were you, I would lean into this shit. And you know what? I'm not going to take credit for it, but I think that he really has. And he's developed a relationship with these people. I reached out to him and said, hey, thanks for being a friend to the greatest karaoke podcast on the planet. And they have since responded in kind. And I would love to talk to those guys. I think that I listen to their show occasionally. I think they're great.
I don't know if this is one I've read or not. It's kind of old. It's from season 22, episode 6, the Futurama episode. Mm-hmm. And Dee Dee says, thank you, Captain Rest assured. Is there some kind of timer to where your phone doesn't go black?
I think it has to do with your margarita consumption.
Okay. It says, thank you, Captain Rest Assured, for another fine episode. This ranks among your greatest ever. The presence of Kemo Slice made it even more brilliant. And might I say, the hashtag Screamer played an outstanding role as well. Just a couple of things. Us Aussies aren't afraid of the SARS virus. We drink it by the tinful, as suggested by the photo. And sorry, Captain Black, maybe you should have made a deal with Mountain Dew. This one tastes funny. And they have a beer called SARS over there.
Oh yeah,
So,
it's kind of like the Corona beer now saying I think we have to stop production because no one wants to buy the thing that's killing people, or the name of the thing anyway that's killing people.
and then she sent us a picture of a Coke, a 20-ounce of Coke, and it has Jason on it. And she bought
That's
it.
awesome. Well, thank you, Dee Dee, and thank you for the fan feedback. And good luck. Be careful when you're out there taking care of the car. The car pour completely nude. You don't want to like lacerate anything.
Right. I have one more fan feedback. It's via text message. It's from Carrie Ann Passmore. It says, I also must have missed the thank you for taking such great care of our son. He needs for nothing. Does amazing in school. Unbelievable good kid. So glad he has you and my husband to parent him into an amazing young man. Sure, I'll pay you back for my responsibilities.
Now, that is the full name of one of your ex-wives talking to you about the son that the two of you share, and somehow that has made it onto the podcast.
Yep.
Okay. What are you going to do with that?
I mean, what am I going to do with that situation?
Yeah.
I am completely ignoring it.
Probably the best course of action. Any more fan feedback?
Nope, that's it. I wanted to finish with a banger.
Oh, thank you very much. Let's move ahead.
How do we do that? Do we?
Mr. Bojangles.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captains have turned on the fasten seatbelt sign.
You should have something you say back to me, so when I know.
Well, I do. I was gonna. I've been saying ding dong, but I didn't get a chance to because it wasn't done ding donging.
Okay, you were saying kick it at one point or hit it, and then there was like ding dong. I saw if we have to settle because I can't hear the audio cues us being separated, so you have to tell me when I can start talking, and I think you should tell me when I should start talking. But I think those should be like I should say Mr. Bojangles,
And I say ding dong.
And you can ding dong. We've decided on. There you go. So right now I'll just wait for you to say ding dong.
All right, ding dong. This show is built in the back of his back burps.
Today we discuss the pilot episode of Some Guys from the year of our Lord 1998. I was there. I can vouch. That was a great year.
1998. That's Ion 12 years ago.
No.
Huh?
No.
30 years ago. 32 years ago.
Let me ask you this. What year do you think it is right now?
2020.
Yeah, that's right.
So it was 30 years ago.
Well, that's not right.
22 years ago.
There you go.
22.
What's that? What's the old saying? 11 times the charm?
22 years ago, I was 23? Yeah.
And I was 17.
Ooh, wow, that was a good year for you.
17 is the best year, right? That's the best year.
Right, you just got your license. You know, you're probably getting some finger banging at least. You know what I mean?
High school's winding down.
Yeah. You're the big man on campus.
Maybe you got a part-time job that you're stealing booze from.
Yeah, you're just figuring out what HICFA is and why you have to give them money.
I worked at a grocery store for 2 years in high school. And I had a lot of my buddies that worked there. And one guy ran I'm stealing booze and selling it to kids in the parking lot at high school ring.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Yeah. So he would take the booze, throw it in his car. And one day, it was funny because he had this little, this old Geo Metro. It's a really tiny little convertible. And one day he left it on all day while he was at school because he forgot. And it's like full of booze.
He left his car on?
Yeah, there's a former guest actually on the show. I won't mention who it is. But yeah, he used to sell booze out of his car at school. How great is that?
But how do you forget and leave his car on?
We'd have to get him on the phone and ask him. We can later. Once the quarantine's over, we'll get him on the phone and ask him.
All right, sounds good.
All right. 1998, the end of the 90s, a pre-9/11 society, as it were. It's not 1998 right now. According to Blake, it was between 12 and 30 years ago. But let's go back to 1998
In our minds.
telephone. And to do so, we'll talk about things that happened that year, things that help us put us in that mind frame so we can properly dissect and digest and regurgitate with some sort of knowledge the program that is Some Guys.
Right, because we can't look at Some Guys through the glasses of 2020. There's too much stuff going on.
Yeah, we absolutely can, but it's not fair. And in you and I, it's fairness first, then safety, then teamwork.
Right, and then God.
And then God. Oh boy, I tell you what, he's tied for third if you ask me.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not really happy with how he's working things right now.
He works in mysterious ways. I don't know if you knew that. Just like you too.
What's that guy from REM died? The drummer, right?
I think it was a session drummer. It wasn't one of the main four, but it was.
Why do you need a session drummer?
Well, because for a long time, REM was a four-piece, and then around 2002, 2006, one of the guys said, "Hey, I've had enough of this." And then after that, they had a guy come in to kind of play with them and for them. I think that's the guy that died.
Oh, R.I.P. guy that died.
But still, yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, but back in 1998, he was alive and making good money.
100%.
But he's not here now. So how can we judge this pilot based on today's standards?
R.I.P. REM. Let's talk about some things that did happen, though, in 1998. May 2nd, the 124th Kentucky Derby. Kent Desmarais, aboard Real Quiet, wins in 2 minutes and 2 seconds. What is up with these names?
I think they have like a certain amount of characters, and it can't be something that somebody else has had.
Kent Desmarais, aboard Real Quiet. That's the name. It's 5 words that don't even necessarily make a sentence, and that's the name of an animal that won the Kentucky Derby.
Have you ever watched the Kentucky Derby from start to finish?
No.
Because it's like
Never.
It's like 6 hours of it's like the Super Bowl of horse racing. So they have all this commentary for 6 hours, and then they have 4 races that don't matter, and then they have the big one that's, like you said, it's like 2 minutes and 2 seconds.
It's like 99.9% repeating pomp and circumstance, and then like 3 minutes or less of actual racing. It's pretty unreal. If you had a horse in the Kentucky Derby, and again, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that it can't be named that something else was named. Yep. What would you call your horse?
I've got 2 choices.
Okay.
Papa Don't Preach.
All right, that's a good one.
And
that's that Kelly Osbourne song, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's pretty now.
All right.
She's not as.
Okay. Here's
no, that was the second one. That was the second horse's name. She's pretty now.
Gotcha. My mistake.
How about you? You got a horse? You got a horse in this race?
Yes. Hobo Handbag.
Good.
Or Blood Fart.
Yeah, I was gonna say Blood Fart would be the one. I think you. We should buy a horse.
Yeah, I would do that. Yeah, I think there's a lot when you buy a horse. Yeah, and I think we were talking about this recently just very recently actually with the Alexander the Great episode. But when you start dealing with horses, you got to start dealing with a lot of horse cum.
Yeah, you got to collect it and keep it frozen and stuff.
It is a jizz heavy business.
That would be a good name for the episode.
Yeah. There's loads abound.
Got any more?
I got a couple more. No,
do me now. Do me.
Do you now? May 4th, a federal judge in Sacramento, California, hey, Lori, gives Unabomber Ted Kaczynski 4 life sentences plus 30 years after Kaczynski accepts a plea agreement sparing him from the death penalty.
Yeah, there's a new thing on Netflix, but do we need to learn anything else about him? I mean, isn't it all been said?
I don't know a ton about him. I just remember there's that guy with a beard and sunglasses and a hoodie.
What'd he do? He blew something up?
Ted Kaczynski, I cannot remember what school he went to, but he was of genius level intellect. And what he said was, he wrote this manifesto, and he was like, technology will ruin the world. It will destroy us. It will wipe us out. It's gonna really fuck us up. I am going to work actively to destroy our advances in technology, because it's going to be the undoing of the humanity. And I will say that Ted Kaczynski is 77 years old. He is still alive.
Okay. Good on you, Ted.
But I think he also mailed like pipe bombs, and it was him and.
Oh, that's what it was. He mailed pipe bombs. Yeah,
he was the Unabomber. And who was the? It was a guy. I can't remember the other guy's name. Matthew Phillips, maybe. I can't remember his name, but he was the guy who actually did the bombing, like of Oklahoma City. Wasn't that? That was him, right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, do you remember that guy that was that would
maybe not?
Huh?
I might be wrong. I don't think I'm right about the Oklahoma City bombing.
Hey, listeners, if you know who did some bombing, hashtag you bomb me. Do you remember that guy that was him and some kid were in the they were in the trunk of cars, and they were out of the peephole, the keyhole, they were shooting people?
That is the most amazing story of all time, if you ask me. That's the case of the DC sniper.
That's right.
That's where they said it was I think it was a black fella and a young black boy, maybe from the Nation of Islam. I don't remember exactly, but they what they would do is they popped out the keyhole, like you said, in the back of like an old Buick or some shit, and they would go park it, and they got a guy in the back, and he takes his sniper rifle and he's killing people just at like gas station pumps, just random people. And that's the hardest person to catch.
Right.
When you're killing someone at random, at a distance, it is near impossible. Because what you want, if I kill you, Blake, they're going to look right at me and say, well, Jason knew him. He has every reason in the world to hate him and want to kill him. Of course he probably had something to do with it. But if you're killing random people,
right,
boy, that's a tough nut to crack.
Yes.
Anyway, let's see. May 14th, Seinfeld's final two-part episode, the finale, airs on NBC to 76.3 million viewers. Commercials were priced at $2 million for 30 seconds.
Wow.
That is fucking Super Bowl territory.
For sure. Which
76 million, that's, okay, say in 98 we had 300 million people. That's like 1 out of every 4 people is watching that show that day.
And you were one of them.
I believe that I was, yeah. I was working at that grocery market at the time.
Drinking some booze that you bought.
Yeah. Oh, my good friend. I got it right out of his Geo Metro. I was buying his, what's the shitty vodka called? Skull?
I don't know. Beef eater?
Oh, give me some of that beef eater. Why do we choose to watch Some Guys?
3 simple criteria. 1, it was a pilot that was made, and there was only one made. And whether it went to series is, well, it couldn't go to series. Whether it aired or not is irrelevant. Thank you, Mr. Margarita. And number 2 is we had to find it on the internet. And number 3, it had to be free.
Oh, my God. That's absolutely right.
And just to tell folks, this one is as close to non-free as you can get, because it's on Daily Motion, and I have to watch it on my phone. And that I would rather pay to watch it on the big TV, but it doesn't work that way.
Oh, yeah, we can talk about that in a second for sure. So you're probably asking yourself, where can I find the entire episode of Some Guys? Well, you can do so by subscribing to Couch Pilots and SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app of choice, and then simply click on one of our classically blue links in our show notes. Or, Mr. Bojangles, download the app for Daily Motion and check out Commotion.
Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff, please.
Are we boarding or are we taking off?
Let's take off, you hoser.
Whoosh. Ding dong.
Summary of the pilot. 5 20-something friends in the big city navigate the perils and pitfalls of love and sex.
C plus.
A little precursor into down the line of the episode. This is a ghost of a pilot. There is almost nothing out there. I found some really weird shit associated with this show. There's nothing out there. It's not in IMDb. Nary do we find something that is not in IMDb. I created that summary from scratch.
Oh, wow. Well, you did a C plus.
I did a C plus. What would you do? How would you do it better? You think you saw it?
Let's see.
In 100 words or less.
A young girl and a 20-something girl who is horrible at relationships, stays friends with everybody she's had sex with, and sells beer out of her antique machine in her living room. That's all I got.
Yeah. Where are these places that are just giant, open, sprawling, and they're not even like they're not even studio apartments. Where are these big? Have you ever been to an apartment like that?
No, I've never been to a place that had a pool table in front of in the middle of a dance floor. Next to some windows where the couch is, with no kitchen and no bedrooms,
and seemingly no support beams. Interesting facts, I guess.
I can do that, I think. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Interesting Facts. Jason really did scour, couldn't find much, but he found it. These are facts about the pilot. Don't share your opinions with anybody else. Don't taint their experience. Yada yada yakety. I need to come up with a new bit for that. But yeah, so just don't talk to people about it. These are facts, and don't interrupt them.
You don't know what hard times are. You're my dad. Okay. News of this pilot was made by Disney's Fox, or being made by Disney's Fox, was circulated on the internet in late March of 1998. Fact.
Okay.
Stars Samantha Mathis. You may know her from movies such as American Psycho, Broken Arrow, Super Mario Brothers, and Pump Up the Volume.
Ooh, Pump Up the Volume. That was a good movie.
I usually only do 3. I added that one in there just for you. I know that you like that movie.
Good.
Also stars, that was a fact, by the way. That was a fact about why I added it. He also stars Julie Bowen, known for Modern Family, Happy Gilmore, and Horrible Bosses. This is the lady who played Amy. Fact.
Amy, what you want to do? I think I could stay with you for a while, maybe longer if I do. Nice. High five that shit.
Finally stars David Allen Bush. He plays Mason. You may know him from Better Things, The X's, and of course, the failed reboot pilot for Mr. Ed.
Oh, okay.
He was the main guy in Mr. Ed. Interesting facts over. Twitter responses.
Twitter responses. I wonder if Jason got some Twitter responses.
So when it comes to Twitter responses, we say, hey, actors, writers, directors, creators, producers of any given pilot. We are couch pilots. We watch television shows that had only one episode. Next up for us is Some Guys. We're excited to watch it, and we're wondering if you have anything fun or interesting you'd like to tell us about the making of this show. Thanks. Hope to hear from you. So, surprisingly, a lot of the people involved in this show, there's really only 5 main characters that I can surmise. They're on Twitter. And I reached out to them, and one guy reached back. And I will say, probably not the biggest celebrity of the bunch, but someone that I was excited to hear from, and someone that I've reached out to before that has not responded. And that was a fella that goes by the name of John DiMaggio. He played Jack. He was the police officer in the episode. And the reason I'm excited about that, and maybe you should be excited too, Blake, because he is the voice. He does a ton of voice acting work, and he was the voice for Jake the dog for Adventure Time, and he's also the voice for Bender from Futurama.
Oh, wow.
And so those are a couple of really great animated programs that I enjoy, and I said his response was in all caps, "Holy shit, where did you find that?" And to that, I said, it's on the Daily Motion app. This was made in 1998, correct? Just trying to start a dialogue. Radio silence. I said, I responded, and I don't even know what I said after that, but I made a response a day later just to kind of throw it out there that I'm still interested in hearing something about it. He didn't respond any further. which is unfortunate. Almost not worth mentioning at all, but if I didn't mention that, I'd have nothing to mention. So, of course, I will mention that. I don't even really necessarily want to say thank you to John DiMaggio, but I did tell my daughter about it because she's a fan of Adventure Time, and how cool is that that got a response to your dad? With that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do you think, like, his dad was such a great baseball player that maybe he's just embarrassed that he went into acting instead of playing baseball?
You'd think so, but at the same time, you think, hey, if someone's reaching out to me,
right?
Maybe I would like it, but I don't know. I can't get inside John DiMaggio's head. His dad was one of the baseball greats of all time, but that's neither here nor there. We'll put 10 minutes on the clock, and Blake, if you want to start to help us break down the plot of Some Guys.
Yeah, there was two girls in a pool right off the bat. And
hey, you know what? Starting out pretty good.
So far it's a 7 so far, but don't worry, it gets worse. And they're talking.
They're naked, right? They are naked.
Oh yeah, they're naked for sure. As jaybirds, you can see their legs and you can see their breastises, kind of. But I mean, at first I thought it was a hot tub, but then I find out it was a pool. And right off the bat, they're having a conversation. You don't really understand. They're just talking about boys, I guess. And this Susan, she seems to know everything about men. And she knows how to work them. She knows how to do them. She knows how to make a relationship work. Hashtag, she ain't got no man.
When did you find out Susan's name?
Oh, God. And I'm glad you put that because I always take notes, and I'm really good about writing people's names down. And I found out Amy's name, and then I'm like, oh, shit. So I drew a line. Every time I wanted to say that person's name, I drew a line. And it's halfway down the page before I learned her name is Susan.
I think it was a 23-minute pilot. I bet I learned her name at the 17-minute mark.
Yeah, pretty much. So Amy and Susan, they're talking about guys. Amy is gay, and she's decided that she's just got out of a relationship, so she's going to go back to having sex with boys.
I think, maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe I'm talking out my ass. These girls are in their early 20s. Or at least that's what they're playing. They're not actually, they're probably late 20s, but they're playing early 20s. When you are in your late teens to early 20s, I think especially with women, sexuality is a lot more fluid.
Right.
I don't know if to me, bisexuality is a little bit of a myth. I think people usually genuinely sway one way or the other. So I think this Amy lady is in a time in her life where she's really kind of experimenting or just like not sure what she is or what she wants and is just kind of going with the flow.
Right, because I mean if you've been with a woman for 4 years, you don't just go, yep, we're broke up, I'm gonna start going with guys. I mean, it's just, you don't. There was no maybe I should or none of that. So
if you're truly bisexual, I feel like making a decision to have a guy or a girl, that's irrelevant, because if you're bisexual, you don't see people like that. You're just attracted to the person. Sure. You know what I mean?
Right.
So to me, that kind of spits in the face of people who may genuinely be bisexual. Anyway, they're in this pool. A guy shows up and says, hey, this is a hotel pool. I can't keep kicking you out of here. I'm going to lose my job. Get out of here, guys. So they kicks him right out. And then while they're swimming out of there, I think Susan calls Amy a dyke.
Oh, I missed that part.
But it's okay because I think Susan called herself a dyke too. So it's kind of like a black guy calling himself the N-word. Yeah,
it's a dyke for a dyke. The title video comes on, and it's showing a pool table with all the dimensions, and it's showing all the actors, on the show. The next scene.
Sometimes during the intros, they say, "Hey, we've only got one episode in the bank. We have to take footage from this episode to make it." But they didn't do that. This was like a full-fledged opening. They had like you said, pictures of things that weren't necessarily shot from the pilot, but maybe had to do with it, and pictures of the people. And it was kind of a rockin' intro too. They put a little bit of time into this.
Yep. And the first scene, Susan is on the phone, and first there's a bunch of guys calling her. First, her I don't know who calls her first, but she ends up talking.
It's Dr. Dave.
Yeah, Dr. Dave. Hey, dude. He calls and says, hey, let's go to Vegas or something. And then a call waiting, boop, boop. Next guy calls and it's a cop saying, hey, why is this girl mad at me? And then the third guy calls and he's in the bathroom and he wants to know how to get out.
Yeah, like a lot of ensemble shows, everyone almost comes off as equals. Sometimes there's a person that's a clear leader in the pack, and in this case, Susan is the lead of the show. And we're dealing with Susan, and the main setting for this show is Susan's apartment, and she's the character that all these other people come to with questions or advice. And the third call she gets from Mason, who's trying to get out of a woman's bathroom that he just slept with. He's afraid of commitment, obviously, right? He's the Captain Black character, as it were. Then you got so John DiMaggio. His name is Jack, and he's an Irish Catholic cop, and he wants to make sure you know he is. That accent is fucking deep and hard, isn't it?
For sure, like my penis.
Oh, absolutely. Dr. Dave. He is the horny guy. He is the kind of thin, built, worked out guy. Kind of
frosted
kind of
tips. Frosted tips.
Oh, for sure. He's a dumb guy, but he's also a doctor. I mean, a chiropractor,
Right.
but still a doctor.
Right. That's why that didn't really fit. Didn't really fit to me. He should have been like a guy who owns like a surf shop or something.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Go ahead.
And then she calls Vizcaino. He used to pitch for the White Sox.
Love that guy.
And she wants him to come over. This is a guy that she's dating. So she calls him up. She's like, I want you to come over. To hell with all my friends being here. You told me you loved me. That's all I believe. Bring your ass for Vizcaino over. Anyway.
Is that Melissa Etheridge?
Yeah, of course it is.
So yeah, she calls this guy. His name's Jeff Viscano, and they're kind of having like this kind of intimate, sexy, playful phone conversation. And then the next day, Mason, Dave, Amy, Jack, and Susan, they're all in Susan's place playing pool. And pool kind of does like when you think about the show Friends, which we'll get into. It's a blatant ripoff of. But when you think about Friends, you think about I'm inside of Rachel and
Phoebe.
No, not Phoebe. Rachel and who's the
Monica.
other? Monica. I'm in their apartment.
On
That's
the
the
couch.
central place.
Yep.
Or you're in the coffee shop on the couch.
Central Perks.
This pool table is that Central Perk coffee shop couch. This is the meeting place, right?
Right. I want to go back real quick to the phone call that that Susan was having with Vizcaino.
Yes.
And she's like, tell me why you love me. And that is a line that I have heard 1,000 times, and it's the biggest setup for a problem.
And what is the problems that are caused, and what is your response to that question?
Well, the problem that it caused is you're not going to tell them the right reasons why, or you're going to tell them reasons that really aren't true, and then those will come back to haunt you.
So when a woman says something like this, it's seemingly sweet and loving and adorable, but really what she's doing is she's keeping a receipt of all of your sayings.
Yeah, she's putting them in a manila folder in her mind.
Then she laminates it?
And puts it in her mind. One of the things that I've always said to my wife, and I was like, you have beautiful teeth. And
how could that possibly come back to bite you?
No, that's the only thing I've ever said to a woman that I loved about him, that it didn't come back to bite me. Get it? Bite me? Teeth?
Teeth will bite you. Yeah. So, but she definitely says that to him. So, but who knows? We may never get the opportunity to see if that comes back to bite him.
Sorry, I derailed it. So Susan is told all of her friends that Amy is back into guys.
And the guys are all like, hey, we have dicks that get hard, and we would love to spend some time with you.
Right. And Amy and so they're like, what's it like to have sex with a girl? So she starts really kind of like graphically describing sex with a woman, and the guys are just getting hot and bothered. They're loving it. Vizcaino comes on the door, knock, knock, knock. And
well, I will say that when they're hearing Amy talk about this, Dave kind of gets seemingly aroused, and then there's some like light homophobia from the men, right?
Right.
Like they're super into ladies being gay with each other, but when it comes to guys having any kind of homosexuality about them, it makes them real nervous and scared. And you know what? That's not like a taboo thing at all. People joked openly about homosexuality in the late 90s. You really can't do that now.
Right.
But then it was fine. And I don't think they were being mean about it. It was just kind of like, hey, I'm not a gay guy. Get back.
Right, yeah. Vizcaino comes in and doesn't know that all her friends are going to be there. So this is where we kind of like find out how Susan knows all the Dr. Dave Mason.
How does she know Jack, the cop?
And this, I'm glad you pointed this out. Her flashback is she was having a party. It must have been her birthday. Cop knocks on the door, and she thinks he's a stripper. She gets on her hands and knees, starts taking his pants off. He has to say, hey, this is not what this is all about. She's like, well, yeah, it is. You're a stripper. He puts a gun to her head.
It is a very bizarre. I mean, you know what? I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say we'll chalk it up to a faulty memory. But when a stripper shows up to a girl's house, it is protocol to take their pants off and to suck their cock immediately.
Right.
And if that's not the case, is it protocol for a cop to put a gun to a lady's head?
And also, they show it twice.
They do show it
They
twice.
show it twice.
That party, was everyone in bikinis there?
Yeah, it was like a beach party.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, so that's how she met him, and she ended up like having like a fling or some sort of relationship with him.
Yeah, she slept with all of them except Dr. Dave.
Well, how did she meet Mason?
What was that? They met up at the bar downstairs.
He was like an investigative reporter or something, and they're doing a story.
Yeah, because wasn't he doing a story on because she was a director or something. I don't know. I forget now.
Anyway, they used to have sex, and this is the part where I found out Susan's name.
Right.
Anyway, and they say, how do you know Dave? Like, oh, he's my chiropractor. And Dave is this, like I said, this wildly horny, inappropriate guy. He was cracking her back. And then he said, man, you have an epic ass.
Because that's what every chiropractor should say that, right?
That is the the carpool lane to HR. That's how you get fast-tracked to a lawsuit, I think, is if you say something like that. I think they said Amy lives next door. Is that right?
Well, I thought that – I'm not sure if she lives next door, but I know that they work together.
That's how they met. They work together?
Amy is a writer, and Susan is a director on a soap opera.
And, yeah, Susan slept with Jack and Mason, but not Dave. And she explains to her current boyfriend, Jeff, why she won't sleep with him.
Yeah, because she's made the mistake. She's fought with her vagina too much, and she wants a lasting relationship, and so that's why she's not having sex. She's trying to think with her heart, not her mind.
Now, I am a very learned man, as you know, and I know there is a difference between the vagina and the clitoris. Now, when you say a fella, you think, my God, which head is he thinking of with? Because he's got a head on his shoulders and he's got the head on the end of his cock. Is he thinking with his dick? Now, guys can think with their dicks, but do girls think with their clits or their vagina?
I think it's the clit.
Okay, so girls think with their clits.
Guys think with their penis. Yep. I'm pretty sure that's right.
Okay. I didn't know. I thought I'd ask. I'm a learned man, but I can always learn more.
Listeners out there, if you find something on the internet, you can respond to us with hashtag click the head.
Yeah, please. Please, won't you do that? So this is where I make a note that this whole show is obsessed with sex.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff and Susan are at this party or whatever. They go and they make out on a couch. And meanwhile, while they're trying to like get physical with each other, she's dealing with all of her friends. Dave is on that same couch waiting for a booty call. She has to dismiss him. Amy comes in and says, hey, I'm going to go ahead and take a shower. She says, fine. And then Mason, he's like, I need you to help bail me out because I'm going to go see this woman. I need you to call me. And then Jeff is like, you got too much going on here. There's a lot of your friends cycling in and out. I just want some time with you. It seems like you're busy. I'm going to take off.
Right. And I've been in those situations before.
Yes, I've definitely been in a situation where a girlfriend seems really preoccupied by
everything.
Life. Everything is exactly right. Yeah. Dave, oddly enough, the guy that was waiting for the booty call, kind of comes in and gives Susan, like the last person you would think who would give her a pep talk.
There's a little heart-to-heart, and at the end of the heart-to-heart, he says, "Oh, by the way, can you let Amy know I want to be the one to have sex with her?"
And Amy's in the shower. I thought Dave was gonna run in the shower with her.
He should have. I would have had a better chance.
Yeah, totally.
Later on, Amy and Susan are out on the fire escape. Amy is missing her lesbian lover, Debbie, and Susan is just like, I know, you're pretty upset, but man, I don't even know what I'm going to do with this Guyano guy.
And they're out there, and Amy is smoking. And you would never see that on TV anymore.
Never, ever.
I was watching a show the other day, and it said there's like thematic smoking. That, like, you know, when you say, why is a film rated PG-13? Well, it's got rude humor, it's got partial nudity,
violence.
It's got light violence. Yeah, it's got all these things. But then now they throw in there like tobacco use.
That's weird.
It's crazy.
Come on, guys. We all have Corona. We should at least be able to smoke on TV.
Mason then meets Amy at a bar to talk, and they flash back to kind of their sexual history.
Right. And that's what basically what this is. This whole show is she flashes back to everybody, all the guys that she's had sex with.
Yeah.
The next scene is Amy and Susan at Studio 4, and they have a flashback. And then Mason also, this is the time where Mason says, hey, Susan, can you hook me up with Amy?
Yeah, they all want to get with Amy at this point. I don't understand why Jack, who seems to be an employed police officer, is just showing up at his friend's work. And this is why he shows up. He says, "Hey, the way you look at Jeff, the guy that you say that you're currently like in love with and want a future with, the way that you look at him, it was the same way that you looked at me when we were together, and I wasn't the guy, so I don't think Jeff is the guy." Say, hey, buddy, you work in a huge city as a police officer. Maybe you should be out fighting crime rather than dropping these bullshit nuggets of knowledge on your friend.
Right, because it's not like he's just stopping at her hair salon that's right next to the donut shop. I mean, he's going into Studio 4.
Yeah, he's got to go in. He's got to get clearance. He's got to park. He's got to walk to the studio. There are crimes happening, pal. Jack, my tax dollars pay your bills. Why are you spending it at a studio telling a lady she's not in love with a guy?
And one of the reasons why she said that, and throughout the show, why I didn't work with him is because he's too nice. Have you ever had a girl tell you you're too nice as their excuse?
No, but I do. I have heard there is the plight of the nice guy. You know, I definitely am aware of that.
Nice
that
guys
cliche.
finish last.
Yeah. So, but which is a bullshit thing, right? Because a lady, when they're young, they want a dangerous guy, a guy who treats them like shit, and then later in life, they want a nice guy, right?
Right. Back when
So
their boobs are saggy and everything by then.
Yeah. Now that my nipples are touching my knees, can't you please be nice to me?
So the next scene, Susan and Vizcaino are going back to her apartment after a date, and you know he's like, "Hey, how about I come and stay for breakfast?" And she's like,
"Oh yeah,"
she's like, because he's like, and she's like, "Well, I don't want to have sex with you because I want to be in love." And he's like, "Hey, call me when you change your mind." And then he leaves.
Okay, I'm glad you set it up like that because my notes literally say he leaves her because she won't fuck him. That is what happened, right? That's what happened.
Yeah, no, he's like, you know what? We've been dating for, didn't say it, but hey, we've been dating for 3 or 4 weeks. I'm taking you out to dinner. I probably spent about $250 on meals for you. You don't want to fuck? I'm out.
That is, I mean, like, that's not like, I think we want different things. We've learned enough about each other to say this won't work, this won't work. It's literally, can I put my dick in you? No. Okay, I'm a go.
Right.
It's that is literally why he leaves.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he just found out she had a beehive.
Right. Check out last week's episode, won't you please? So Susan is like, all right, well, I'm going to go to my apartment without Jeff. And she's upset. And the whole gang is there, of course, surrounding the pool table.
Right.
And she's talking to him, and she says, who thinks here that was not the right guy for me? And they all raise their hand. I think Amy says, I abstain. And then she's like, well, you know what? Whatever you guys say, fine. I'm going to leave it up to the 8 ball. If I sink this ball in the corner pocket, I'm going to go for it. And then Amy stops her and says, hey, you know what? That's not a good way to go about life. That's not a good way to do it. And then there seems to be some homoerotic themes happening with the two ladies. And Dave says, hey, let's play some Indigo Girls.
Yeah, I wrote that. I love that. That was the best joke of the whole show.
I thought of you instantly. I knew that you would love that, and you're going to want to high-five that shit. So she shoots after everyone else leaves the pool table, and she kind of gives an ambiguous look about her face. We do not see what happens if she makes it or not.
She missed it.
I would think so. Yeah. I think she would miss it. The next scene, everyone is at that same hotel pool where it started. It was just Susan and Amy at first, but now all 5 of the gang are at that pool. They're all swimming and drinking beer. And kind of a reoccurring theme throughout the show is Susan has always been looking for her grail. And that's a reference to the Holy Grail, the one cup that would give you everlasting life in the Bible. But she wants the person that she's been seeking out, and Dave misunderstands it as the Gale. So they all cheer to the Gale at the end, and that's the end. All right.
And that's going to be some.
That's going to be some turbulence, Mr. Bojangles.
Please remain seated as we are now crossing a zone of turbulence.
Ding dong. Now that's one I probably would have gotten that one by myself.
All right. Well, why didn't some guys work? One and done. Not even an IMDb. I don't get that.
Yeah.
There are some people in there. John DiMaggio, a known guy. Julie Bowen, a known broad. Samantha Mathis was the main character of Susan. She was, at that time, the person that had more clout than anyone else. This show was built on her. And why didn't it go anywhere?
They're trying to go up against Friends. This is the Disney and Fox version of Friends, and I think they just knew, like, when they wrote it, the writers were probably thinking this is going to be our friend. This is going to be our version of Friends, and I think they made it, and everybody was like, "No, this is Friends. We can't show this. This is Friends." You know what I mean?
It is absolutely the 20-something sexually charged living in the big city, ABC, Disney, Fox, whatever it was. It was their version of Friends. Friends is an NBC show, and this was saying, what can we do to compete with that? I would say that it almost seems edgier than Friends. Like they were trying to be edgier.
A lot more sex oriented. Yes, I would say.
Absolutely.
I really also think that all the guys in Susan's crew or whatever, they were all so different. The only thing they had in common with each other, the only thing that they would like be able to have a conversation about together, hobby-wise, is having sex with her.
Yeah, or wanting to have sex with Amy.
Right.
The show is only about sexual relationships with people, and to me, that's why the show doesn't work. You cannot. This is a prime time comedy that they're showing. It cannot be 100% about sex. It does not work at prime time. You can have kind of edgier stuff and funny sexual innuendos, but if that's it, if you're building your entire program on just everyone having sex with each other, I think people get sick of that shit.
Right.
People don't want to hear that nonstop. Oh, we got another flashback to her going down on some dude. Oh, we got another flashback of her guy with a gun to her head.
That was the craziest. To me, there was two parts of this pilot that caught my attention. One was the fact that he had a gun to her head and they showed it twice, and the other was the Indigo Girls joke. Other than that, I was kind of zoning out throughout because it wasn't interesting. It was just, hey, this is Susan. She's the bossy one, that thinks that she knows everything, but yet her life is a big fucking mess.
Right.
Why do these 5 people or these 4 people take advice from this girl and deeply need that advice? I'm going to call her from a bathroom. Want her advice when every relationship she has fails. That's like if I took marriage advice from you.
Or if I took marriage advice from you. What would you do to improve some guys?
Geez, I would dial it back on the sex part. Maybe
I'm not an old fuddy-duddy.
No,
right?
no,
like
not.
They were laying it on super thick,
right?
Right,
but to me, by the end of it, all I did was think it was Susan. It was a big slut. I didn't think that she had any kind of knowledge or any kind of real true feelings. By the time this was over, I was like, oh, Susan's just a big whore.
They were kind of painting it out to be that way.
Well,
you got 10 years of the show Friends, right?
Right.
If you go back, and none of them, okay, I think Courtney Cox gets married in there, right? She gets married to Chandler. And I think for a hot second, Rachel gets married. Let's look at the character of Rachel by Jennifer Aniston, right? In those 10 years, if you look at all the different guys that she dated and slept with, my God, you're probably talking about 30, 40 guys, right? At least. But to cram it all into one pilot? Come on. I don't know. If this survived, I think we need a couple characters that have no sexual connectivity to these people at all.
Right.
You know, whether it's coworkers or bosses or other people that live in the building. Of course, you know, 20-something singles is a prime setting for different relationships and the people that come in and out of the show. That's fine. I get that. But to have everything about fucking all the time, that's too much.
Right.
Like I said, call me an old man if you want, but there are other things in life than just like, how am I going to get to the next cock, you know? All right, Mr. Bojangles.
Mr. Bojangles. We're on Final Descent?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of takes away from it when I say that.
Ladies and gentlemen,
A little
as you
bit,
start our descent, please make sure your seat backs and tray tables are in their full upright position.
Ding dong.
Oh, boy. Final Descent it is. The part of the show where we say other people know about this. And I will say it doesn't seem like a ton of people know about this, but it is out there. One of the weirdest places that I found, it was just one sentence about some guys, was someone back in the late 90s had created a fan page for Samantha Mathis, a woman who played Susan. And someone just kind of offhandedly mentions that this show is in production as far as the pilot goes. I will say, like I mentioned earlier, it's not on IMDb. There's no scores there. You look at these people of prominence and you scroll back to 1998, it's not there. It's been erased from the history books.
Oh, that's weird. I mean, usually we see ones from like the 70s that have been erased, but this one is like not that long. It's only been like 22 years ago.
It's between 12 and 30 years ago, and there's not hide nor hair mention of it. This is good, though. We have a pilot error is the name of this website, or at least this article. It says, more shitcoms, laugh tracks mixed with tears. And this is an article written by the guy who posted this on Daily Motion. It's a fellow who goes by the name of Josh Hadley. It's an article that he had written with a handful of different failed sitcoms. I can't recall all of them, but we have done several that he's mentioned here. And this one, of course, Some Guys, he says, this comes to us from that awkward period in the late 90s when every network was chasing Friends. God only knows why, as Friends is the most insipid comedy out there until the Big Bang Theory reared up. Samantha Mathis, Julie Bowen, and John DiMaggio, Bender in the live-action role, head up the cast and burping of this sitcom pilot so obscure that it does not even have an IMDb listing. There it is. Until I uploaded this pilot, see below, no one has heard of this, and for good reason. It is awful. And I mean it when I say this is a complete Friends knockoff. This the set is similar, the character dynamics are similar, the delivery is similar. This almost clone of Friends with a cast change. Also, it's brutally unfunny as Friends, so it has that going for it. Mathis is giving this tripe her all. Bowen is quite good as the dyke, now swimming up current since she has now date guys. She uses the term dyke to describe herself in the show. I'm not being homophobic. And DiMaggio is weird here. He uses his thick Brooklyn accent that is honestly distracting. I had seen him in some of his early live action work. He did a full season of Chicago Hope. But it always takes me a while to reconcile that this huge surfer-looking dude is Bender. Why has no one heard of this? I honestly have no idea. I have seen way worse, aka also Super Nerds was a much harder sit. You remember Super Nerds?
Yeah, I remember a little bit of it.
I think that was Brian Posehn, Sarah Silverman, and Patton Oswalt.
Yeah, they had the comic book store.
Three heavy hitters in the comedy world, just churning out a huge dud. Anyway, it always strikes me as odd when one of these emerges with no IMDb listing even. There are some solid names here, and yet no one wants to take credit or blame for this. So that is the only review that I found about Some Guys. There's nothing anywhere else. It's very bizarre how this worked out.
It's almost like it's been quarantined.
Ooh, good call, Mr. Bojangles.
Landing.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to FCF Airport. Local time is 11:11 and the temperature is 69 degrees. For your safety and comfort, Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the captains turn off the fasten seatbelt sign.
Ding dong.
Oh boy, we welcomed you to the show. If you ask me, that's the hardest part, is really getting up the gumption and the nerve to say, welcome to our humble podcast. But we did that. We put you in the mind frame in which the show was released. We gave you some facts. We gave you the summary. We told you where to find it. We told you what other people thought about it. But now it's time for you and I to rate this. Can you please break down this rating scale for us?
It's very simple. It comes from the classic 80s or 90s television show, Wings. And we have a 1 to 7 scale, 1 being the worst. That's a Roy Biggins. And a 7 being the best, Brian Hackett. And all in between are characters from Wings. And, normally people do a 1 through 10 or a 1 through 5 or 5 stars. We do the 7 stars of Wings.
It makes the most sense. Thank you for breaking it down. Captain Philip, rest assured, I turn to you. How do you rate Some Guys?
There's only been a handful of times where I've given a pilot a negative bump. I can only think of a couple.
Okay.
But I'm gonna have to. I usually give a booby bump, to lift up the score.
Right. Not unlike a bra for a booby.
Right. But on this one, I gotta give a gun to the head negative bump.
But you did that with your ex-girlfriend, who was the mounted police officer, right?
That was different. She did it to me, and we were having sex.
Okay.
I'm gonna give this a 1. I right off the bat, I knew it was like a Friends copycat. I thought all they did was paint Susan not as a relationship expert, but as just a whore, and her friends had nothing in common besides the fact that they had either slept with her or just like to play pool and buy beer from her machine. Right?
Have you ever had that before? Have you ever surrounded yourself with friends and all they have done is slept with you?
No.
Do you maintain friendships with women that you sleep with?
I can honestly say that I have not had a friendship. I did have one for a really long time, but I cannot say with my honest that I speak on a regular basis or have a close friendship with anybody that I've ever had sex with.
Probably for the best.
How about you?
I've tried that in the past. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Right.
I stand by this. A man and a woman, both heterosexual, they cannot be friends.
Right.
Because somewhere along the line, someone's going to have feelings, sexual or emotional, for the other one, and it's going to create awkwardness. Okay. I'll use my friend Matthew as a good example. I love Matt. I love his wife. I would never spend any one-on-one time with his wife. That'd be a weird thing to do, right?
Very much so.
I love her, and I don't want there to be any weirdness or anyone to take anything that might be said or done as a weird thing. And it's just what you do is you invite awkwardness to enter your life. You invite drama when that happens. Men friends with men, women friends with women. You can hang out with women and you can hang out with women in social situations, but you can't be one-on-one because things can get weird, and it's not worth fucking up friendships or relationships for that. So
that's why I refuse to let you and Molly spend any time together alone.
And that's why we do it without telling you. But I can't. I've tried to stay friends with former relationships, and it doesn't work. And I hold no ill will towards those people, but it's just not something that can be done.
Amen to that, brother.
And amen to you. What do I rate the show, you ask? Good question. I would say that, like I said, there are some good names here. There's some very capable people, and they're squandered. I think the Dr. Dave character sucks. I think Mason is kind of the weird milquetoast Ross character from Friends. But I think the ladies and John DiMaggio are good. And the show overall is not good. It was not very funny. It leans way too hard on sex and sexuality. There are other aspects of the human condition you can focus on, even in a comedy. I'm not going to go as low as a 1. If my wits were about me, I'd give it a 2.5. We frown on decimal points. I'm going to give it a 3. I don't like it. It wasn't very good, but it's far from the worst thing I've seen.
Now, wait a minute. You're giving this a 3, and last week you gave the Jane Powell show a 4.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
Only 1 score difference?
Yeah. Well, I said I'm rounding up to a 3 from a 2.5.
I just feel like the difference between last week and this week, we had positive things to say about last week. We didn't have very, very little, like just minuscule positive things to say, and you're only giving it a 1 point less.
You know what? If I can give it are you going to allow a 2.5?
No, it's either a 2 or a 3.
Okay, a 3.
God, fuck you.
And you know what, man? You know what? Fuck you.
I miss you so much.
You give it a 1. I give it a fuck you. And with that, we close the book on Some Guys, and we will never mention that show again.
Ever.
But join us next time, won't you please, when we watch the pilot episode of The Final Eye, also known as Computer Side. Here's a little something to wet your whistle. Oh my God, this is huge. The year is 1995, and Michael Stringer is the only private eye detective left on Earth. One day, he is assigned by a woman to investigate Eden Isle, a complex for people who want a perfect life started by an industrialist named Corder. Interestingly, Corder is found on a beach and is 20 years younger than he was before. When he gets into the complex, he is caught in a web of mystery that he might not get out of. You can find the entire episode of The Final Eye, a.k.a. Computer Side, by subscribing to Couch Pilots in SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app of choice, and then simply click on one of our classically blue links in our show notes, or go to YouTube. Blake?
And you know what to do, Tube.
This is a 90-minute 1970s program.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it 90 minutes long?
It's a long one. Yeah, I've got some investigating to do. We're kind of. I bet I've got about 40 episodes left of information, so I've really got some digging to do here. I'm trying to be actually productive, like productive in my life, and not strapped to a computer productive, you know?
Right. No, sure.
But I need to strap myself to the computer here and say, this needs to be done. Look into some more links. I've given you like. At this point, I've got like almost 300 links, right? I've really fucking done a good job, but I need to strap down and do. This is what I got. I want to do another Tuckley season.
Yeah, make him do the work. That'd be easier.
Well, I think I've got like 7 or 8 that he's given me.
That
I've been sitting on. And then I've also got. I want to do an Adult Swim season.
Oh, okay.
We've done cartoon seasons before,
right?
But I want to do an Adult Swim, which does include live action stuff. So I've got a couple of theme seasons coming down the pike here. I don't know exactly when we're going to do it. I don't think it's going to be next season. But this episode does wrap up season 23 of Couch Pilots.
Wow. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I think the appropriate amount of time has passed.
So season 24, what's that? Season 24. What other shows have lasted this long?
Well, you know, I was thinking about that. Bonanza, I think, went for about 300. Yeah.
Mork and Mindy.
Oh, Mork and Mindy, one of the perennial all-stars of sitcoms. Yeah.
Dragnet.
Oh man, Car 54. Where are you?
Oh, I love that show. Hey, have you ever paid to watch anything on YouTube before?
No.
I spent $19.99 Saturday to watch something on YouTube.
So why do you think you would do that?
Because my wife asked me to.
My wife. And you know what, Blake? Absolutely, you deserve to be made fun of for doing that, but you're also doing right by your wife, so congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, Margaritas. Speaking of margaritas, Jason, how do people get a hold of this show?
I don't know how those two things are related, but if you want, you can go to couchpilotspodcast.com. There you can reach us through our social media outlets. I've not been drinking a lot. Two cocktails is fucking me up. We have an email address. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. You refuse, for whatever reason, to delete our Instagram. It's a point of pride for you or what? But contact us, won't you, and get some frequent flyer points. It's free. You're part of the program. You can redeem them for goods and services rendered.
Yeah. Right now, we're in quarantine still. It's the middle of May. We're in the beginning of May. We're still in quarantine. Why not rack up those fucking points, baby?
You know, we haven't done this for a while. This is what I want to say. And I used to be the naysayer of the bunch, but this next week, if you contact the show, if you leave us a voicemail, and I'll give you that information in a moment, we will double the amount of frequent flyer points that you receive.
Didn't even talk about it.
Yeah,
Didn't even talk about it.
Nope, I just went for it. I'm sorry.
What kind of things can people like? Oh, what's a frequent flyer point? I can't travel. So what are these?
Rightfully so. Yeah, there are people who have been on Xbox, Xbox One, Xbox 360. They have these gamer tags. They accumulate all these gamer score points. What do they accumulate to? The answer is nothing. But when you listen to Couch Pilots, when you share the program, when you download the episode, even when you tell someone face to face, the Pachinko machine knows all. It's our 7,000-pound non-electrical machine. It runs on a series of punch cards and Lever 2000 parts. It calculates all the numbers for Couch Pilots, and it keeps track of the frequent flyer points, and they're redeemed for goods and services rendered. Wow. You can get signed aviator glasses, used underpants, surprise prizes, right?
We've still got a little bit of hand sanitizer left. We've got some masks that they're kind of ripped, but they'll still work. We got a lot of negative response from the half-ply toilet paper last week, so we are taking 2 rolls of half-plies, and we are gluing them together to create one ply paper, and we'll give those out. Yeah, sure. I mean, so it's best. I mean, what else are you going to do with your time? What else are you going to do with your time, folks? Come on. You be productive. I'm going to be productive on this end. You be productive on your end. Give them that number. Give them that phone number one more time. It's 910-745-6871. It's 910 Pilots 1. Leave us a voicemail. One of many ways to accrue frequent flyer points. But you're going to get double. You're going to get double if you say you call us. Normally it's 30,000 points. Now it's going to be 60,000. Wow. That's double, guys. That's twice the amount. That's like if you have a flight and you turn it. That's like getting upgraded to first class. My flight. Go to patreon.com. There's a search engine there. If you put in Couch Pilots, I'd be very surprised if more than one thing came up. Donate to the show if you want. It takes money to do the show. It does. It takes my time, my effort, my money, and then Blake's there too. But if you want to give us some money, yeah, we'll take it because we need money to run the show. We also need positivity, and I know Blake has that in droves. Gosh, guys, we got uploaded to 2 more weeks of quarantine. I mean, they're going to do it at 2 weeks at a time now. We're still in it. We're still living, though. You're still living. We're still alive, guys. If you're hearing this, that means you're not in the ground. And just keep plugging away. Keep doing the next right thing. Keep washing your hands. Keep 6 feet away from people. When you go to the store, don't go to the store to hang out or look around. Go get what you need and get the fuck out. And don't dilly-dally. No way, Sally. And this is also a good time to get in touch with friends. Don't isolate yourself just because you can't leave your house. You have technology. The Unabomber didn't want you to have it, but now is the perfect time to have it. Contact somebody. Say, hey, I want to do a FaceTime with you for just 15 minutes, right? Spit in the face of Ted Kaczynski and the murderous trail that he left behind him and download the Zoom app. You don't have to use Zoom. They're not giving us any money, so. Oh, they gave me some money. Oh. Well, that's good. I think that's a really great positive message. I appreciate that. Anything else you'd like to say to the frequent flyers before we go today? I love everybody, and I'm glad to hear people are safe. I'm sorry, it's hard to keep up with everybody. I'm really tired of going on Facebook and seeing people, musicians doing live streams. Guys, if your music sucks, please just don't do it. Nobody's going to tip you anyway, and your music sucks. Only the real people that we really like need to be doing it. Yeah, just don't do it, folks. Thank you for that. And this pilot may have been rough, but it is always a smooth flight here on Couch Pilots. Thanks, everyone, and please stay safe out there.
On behalf of Couch Pilots and the entire crew, we'd like to thank you for joining us.
Ooh, yeah!
We're looking forward to seeing you on...
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy!